So, both Liverpool and Chelsea lose today, and I can't really enjoy it because my team, Manchester United, got absolutely battered by Brentford. It's a day of losses for the big teams, apart from Manchester City. But in today's video, we're going to review Liverpool's loss and then we're going to review Chelsea's loss because there's a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Chiesa, Slot's subs, his favouritism against Chiesa, some of the things he said about Chiesa, which I thought was weird. You know, how Salah can't come off. Kanate's been particularly poor. Liverpool's defensive issues. Florian Wirtz. Now, look, I think Florian Wirtz is sort of becoming a bit of a scapegoat online in the sense of like he's getting the most heat. You know, Salah's been awful, Canate's been awful, but Florian Wirtz needs to step up. We will talk about that. I thought Alisson was excellent. I thought Chiesa deserves more credit. I thought Ekitike was a miss. Isak didn't really get the service. Liverpool had chances to score, missed a few big chances, but I think Crystal Palace did enough to win the game. I think in the first half they could have been 3-0 up if it wasn't for Alisson. And then we will talk about the Chelsea game, where Chelsea started well, went down to 10 men, and Maresca again, some weird calls, some weird response, lets Brighton into the game. Gusto comes on for Esteval, really weird call. He gets cooked by Minter, who was having a fun game once he was up against Gusto. And look, Enzo Maresca's defensive subs are costing Chelsea, and I want to talk about that because Chelsea don't have good defenders. So if you play defensive football and invite on loads of pressure, because Chelsea's defense is their weak point, they're going to struggle with that. Chelsea's attack is their strength. So rather than like inviting pressure to Chelsea's defense, why don't you have good attackers on the pitch so then Chelsea can have outlets, people to pass to, so they're not defending as much, which I don't get Maresca's subs. But we're going to start with talking about the Liverpool game, then we're going to talk about the Chelsea game. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts down below. Now, Chiesa deserved to start today. Now, Chiesa wasn't going to start today because the whole squad had been rested versus Southampton, so it was obvious that he was not going to start because everyone else had been rested. But again, look, I don't think Gakpo was bad when he came on, but I don't think he was amazing. Gakpo made Liverpool better when he came on. But you do look at it and go, Chiesa put in that phenomenal performance versus Southampton. Salah has not been good this season. Like, he's not, like, all this talk about Florian Wirtz. Salah has not had a better season than Florian Wirtz for me. And we know how good Salah is. I know how good Salah is. I think Salah's a phenomenal player, but he's not near his best. Florian Wirtz, you see glimpses of it, his touch, his control, little glimpses of it. He's not been good enough. But I feel like there's too much attention on Wirtz. But those players need to show more, particularly in the free role. But Chiesa's coming on, and Chiesa's got 4 goal contributions in 167 minutes this season. And he's a super sub. And Chiesa isn't even a super sub. Chiesa is Arne Slot's last resort. And I don't get that. I feel like Slot really doesn't like Chiesa. It's the last resort, but he's coming on off the bench in multiple games this season, proving it. Start versus Southampton proved that he should start more. Really good. And again, he's coming on too late. He should be coming on earlier. Slot needs to start rewarding, form over reputation, because that could cost Slot, and that's what costs managers. I'm not going to compare Slot to a Man United manager. That'd be ridiculous. I think the job that Slot has done at Liverpool is fantastic, and I think there's a small chance that this is like the Forest game last season, where Liverpool lose and then Liverpool bounce back from it. I think the job Slot has done is incredible, and the only criticism I have of Slot is the use of Chiesa, what he seems to have against Chiesa, and making some of his some of his weird calls and stuff where Salah just is untouchable, but Chiesa can't play no matter how good Chiesa is. Like, that's my only real criticism I have of Slot, is this Chiesa thing. He clearly didn't want him. But other than that, I can't say many bad things about Slot. I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do today, but I felt the defence was weak and I felt that the players were letting him down. But Slot said this about Chiesa. If he didn't do as well as he did against Southampton, we would probably not look at him as if he gets more playing time. I just didn't get that. But he did so well that it normally leads to a bit more playing time if you can keep producing it in training sessions, and in moments we bring him in. I just don't get that comment. I just think it's weird. I think Slot needs to stop lying to himself about Chiesa. If Chiesa didn't do well against Southampton, he's basically saying I wouldn't have given him the playing time, but because he did well versus Southampton, I felt I had to give him this playing time. Yeah, because that's what you're meant to do. Like, Gakpo could have 10 bad games in a row, but you're just still giving Gakpo the playing time. Why is it Chiesa that has to have an amazing game like that to just get a bit off the bench? I just feel like Slot is lying to himself a little bit about Chiesa. And I just felt, rather than praising Chiesa and that he's been good versus Southampton and good today and saying, yeah, I've been impressed with Chiesa, he's trying to praise Chiesa but not praise Chiesa. I just think it's a bit weird, to be honest. But look at this. In 6 games, he's got 2 goals, 2 assists. He doesn't take penalties or anything like that. You know, like right now, Chiesa's looking like the Florian Wirtz £115 million signing, and Florian Wirtz is looking like the £12 million signing. You know, that's a bit of a let's see if it works. Like Chiesa's been done today. So let's talk about it. I thought Gakpo got the nod at half time. I think Gakpo was alright. I don't think he was bad, but I don't think he was good. I thought Chiesa came on too late. Salah stays on despite being wasteful. I'm pretty sure Liverpool would have scored, or Szoboszlai would have scored if Salah wasn't there. I think Salah's untouchable status needs to be challenged. It's not doing him any favours. It's not doing Liverpool any favours. As good as Salah is, as good as Salah can produce a moment in a match to win a game, he should be challenged. I think Sott's rotation is looking a bit like questionable. It's like, okay, maybe try this player or try that player. I think in terms of positives for Liverpool, Szoboszlai was okay. I thought Alisson was man of the match. I thought Chiesa was good. Frimpong's looking worryingly bad. Kirkus could have done better, but I don't think Kirkus was awful. I thought Frimpong was bad. Bradley was bad. And Kanane was bad. But defensively, Liverpool looked poor. And that's something I want to talk about in a minute, but I do want to talk about Florian Wirtz. 7 games without goal or assist. Despite big expectations, that's not good. Now, he should have scored today. He missed a sitter. And you see flashes of Wirtz's quality. There's been games where Wirtz has grown into it. I thought the second half versus Arsenal, he grew into the game. There's been moments of game where you see Wirtz's quality, but across the 90, you don't. He's not been the worst Liverpool player, but he's not been very good for a player that's 115 million. It's giving Coutinho at Barcelona vibes. And I think Wirtz will be a good signing for Liverpool. Don't get me wrong. I'm confident that Wirtz will be a good signing for Liverpool. And I think one thing that isn't helping Wirtz is that Liverpool aren't playing their best. Liverpool have won games this season, but they're not playing their best. Other than a bit of 30 minutes good string of play here or 30 minutes good string of play there, Liverpool aren't playing the good football that they played last season. So my sympathy with Florian Wirtz is he's not doing well. For 115 million signing, you need a bit more than him. But the football Liverpool are playing is not helping him, because this isn't the football that Liverpool was playing and doing so well last season. Liverpool's football has been nowhere near the best, and they've been still winning games despite being nowhere near the best. But today, the reverse happened to them, and Palace scored late, and Palace probably deserved that. There's flashes of quality, but it was a big chance missed. He's struggling to influence the game. He's not maybe being used in his best position at times, but he's struggling to find rhythm. He could lose his place. And I think the pressure of the price tag doesn't help. He doesn't look quite there physically. He's not the worst player, but for his price to start is worrying. But I do think he will be a good player if Liverpool can sort themselves out and find the right dynamic. But when you're 150 million signing, you need to have impact, and he's not. Another area is Liverpool's defence. Liverpool's defence was really bad today. Palace created chances as well. I think Palace could have been 3-0 at half-time without Alisson. I know Liverpool had chances. Gakpo went wide. Wirtz missed a big chance. Salah stopped Szoboszlai scoring. Isak had a good chance at the end, like his only chance. But both Liverpool's goals came from poor set-piece defending. Alisson kept Liverpool in the game. Liverpool were okay in the second half. They were horrific in the first half. And just the defensive structure of Liverpool needs work. It needs work. They're so bad defensively, and they're just being rammed through. And Crystal Palace did it in the Community Shield. They did it today. They're a bit of a bogey team. Obviously, Crystal Palace are 18 games unbeaten. So if you lose 2-1 to Crystal Palace, it's not the end of the world. They're 18 games unbeaten. They're a great side. But Liverpool were outfought today. Arne Slot was outdone tactically. Arne Slot's calls were interesting. Big players like Wirtz and Salah were not showing up today. And it wasn't good from Liverpool. And I think the players were bad. Now I want to talk about Chelsea, who haven't had the best start. They're currently in 8th place with 8 points after 6 matches. They've not won a game since Garnacho has come in, and Garnacho didn't even get a minute off the bench again today in the Premier League, which is so weird from Maresca. So I want to talk about the Chelsea game, because this is another game and another defensive collapse from Chelsea. 6 errors leading to goals in 8 games already. They only had 14 the whole of last season. When you've got players like Sanchez and Chalobah making individual mistakes, being sent off, you can't blame that all on Maresca. Maresca's getting his calls wrong. Maresca's getting his subs wrong, but you can't blame everything on Maresca when the Chelsea players are acting like idiots. But Chelsea seem to collapse under pressure, and Maresca's putting Chelsea under pressure, because then he goes and makes these defensive subs, like Esteval for Gusto, whereas maybe Esteval for Garnacho. So at least you have an outlet up top so you can still attack. But when you don't have an outlet on top, up top, you stop attacking, you invite pressure, and it was almost like I knew that Welbeck was going to score. I think that Chelsea lack that Thiago Silva as centre-back, and I do not understand to this day, and I said this, why Chelsea aren't going out there and signing a defender. I think Tosin is good, I think Chalobah is good, Colwell's injured. Right now, I think Garnacho is going to be a success for Chelsea. I think Garnacho is a very good sign for Chelsea, and I think you've marked us off. But right now, I'm looking at saying, well, what was the point in spending 40 million on Garnacho when you could have gone out and got a centre back? Because you needed a centre back. I've always said about Chelsea, the attack is good, but I've always said you need a goalkeeper that isn't an idiot, and you need a centre back. And these last two games against Manchester United and Brighton have shown why Chelsea need a goalkeeper that isn't an idiot, and why Chelsea need a commanding centre back. Because until this is fixed, the attack sometimes won't matter, because Chelsea are going to throw it away because of the defence. The Chelsea defence is poor. And Maresca making substitutions, bringing on defenders, taking off attackers, it's cowardly, it's Arteta-like. But you don't have an Arsenal-level defence where you can deal with that kind of pressure. You don't have an Arsenal-level defence. So when you take off Esteval and you have all these attackers on the bench and you bring on Gusto and you bring on all these defenders, the conservative approach, it cost them against Man United. Casemiro went down. Obviously, you weren't to know that Casemiro was going to be sent off. But I honestly believe that if you'd have come at us, because we're crap, I watched us play versus Brentford, we are crap. I honestly believe if you'd have come at us and you had your attackers still on the pitch in Neto and Esteval, you would have got a draw. I generally believe you would have got a result at Old Trafford if Maresca didn't just take. I get why he took Esteval off, but then he took Neto off, and then he took Palmer off. He didn't bring on Garnacho. He didn't bring on Gittins. He was so defensive. I thought his approach was weird versus United. It was again weird versus Brighton. I generally think you would have got a result versus us if Maresca had better subs. Because I think Maresca's, subs are weird. And I thought Esteval was alright. I thought Esteval was bringing something different today. I'm surprised he was subbed off. In terms of the game, I thought that Chelsea, I'd say, dominated possession early, but they didn't create quality chances, but they were the better team. They'd probably deserve to be 1-0 up. But Maresca's approach was looking predictable. And I think the subs and the pragmatic approach of Maresca wasn't good. I thought Minter started to enjoy himself versus Gusto. But you do look at the Chelsea board and say, why were you leaving the manager with unbalanced options? If he's not going to play Garnacho, which I can't get my head around how Garnacho hasn't played again, why not sign a centre-back for him? Because I look at Chelsea and I think it's Maresca might have some pressure on him, but this is 2 bad games for Maresca, 2 bad calls. He can't win every game. He can't get it right every time. Leave Maresca off for a little bit, but there is some questions on Maresca. There's questions on players and the constant mistakes they're making, but there's going to be questions on the Chelsea board and the defenders and all these decisions the Chelsea board are making. There's going to be questions on it, because why haven't you got a centre back? Why haven't you got this for Maresca? And I think Maresca can be questioned, but you've got to look at the ownership. You've got to look at the recruitment team. Chelsea look out of the title race right now. Liverpool dropped points. This was a big chance for Chelsea to get 11 points and be a few points behind Liverpool and put pressure on that title race, and they didn't take advantage of it. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below. Bye.